Yo, what's up, everybody? Episode 5 of Peep Game TV. I'm here with my man Nathan Peña, the creator of Pass Da R.O.C.K, the local nonprofit basketball organization, which hosts the annual One and Done basketball tournament, which is being held this weekend at OCC. My man Nate, thank you for being here. Thank you for joining me. So let's get into kind of your background and the start of the program. So how did you come up with the idea of Pass Da R.O.C.K, and how long has it been going?
So I'm originally from Los Angeles, California, and so in 1998 came up with the idea of, how can I reach the dudes that I'm playing basketball with already, with kind of my new faith that I had gained, and this is a way to kind of just bless the community. And so I thought, what do the guys love most around here was basketball and Mexican food at the time. So I would get a bunch of carne asada, beans and rice, and just start grilling it and have it out and just invite the whole park, the whole neighborhood to come by. And we would get like 20, 30 heads at the time just coming out balling, just an opportunity to bless a bunch of guys that everybody thought were a bunch of thugs, a bunch of nobodies. Right. And so I was kind of like, hey, I just want to love on these dudes, just bless them without being kind of weird or
right.
And just kind of say, hey, this is who I am, this is what I'm about. And so I started doing that real low key. And it wasn't until 2001 when I moved from Los Angeles to Syracuse due to some family situations. I had to come out here to Syracuse where we started up the program in 2001 in February. And like I said, we were getting 20 to 30 cats in the beginning. The first time we ever planned on doing it, we planned for 50 kids, and we ended up getting 150 guys coming out to the Rescue Missions gym. And so, we were ordering, we learned quickly that Mexican food does not work here in Syracuse, but pizza and wings is what the go-to was. And so we did that. And so, like I said, we ordered for 150. We had to quickly up our numbers. And so we quickly learned that here in Syracuse that the basketball was everything.
Right. And
that everybody seems that's just the lifeblood of the community, and they play hoops and they just love to be together, competition. And so we knew that we were doing something right and we were in the right place.
Basketball, where did your love for basketball come? Because basketball, like you said, Syracuse is a basketball town, but where does your love for basketball come from?
Outside of playing football when I was a little older, basketball is all we had. We go to the park, and so a lot to escape the drama of low-income home with all the nonsense that goes with that, and just being a single-parent home.
Right.
That I was in a violent neighborhood, so we wanted to get away from that. So we would just all be at the park. And so all we do is play hoops all day. It was kind of an escape. Sun up, sun down. That's where we were at. And so those are the guys that I hung out with until later in life when I got to high school. I hadn't played football and excelled in that area, but basketball was everything for everybody that I knew. So that's where we gathered. And so that was the area in which most people don't gather on a basketball or a football court or a field every night. They gather on a court.
Right.
And so that was more obtainable to reach those guys that I was trying to reach.
See, I think this program is so great because when I was growing up, I had a similar program called VJA, Valley Junior Athletic Association, right by my crib. We play every Friday night and Saturday morning, so that's the time when most people were getting in trouble. And you had kids in there playing basketball, and I think it was so important because not only are you staying out of trouble, but I still have friends to this day that I met there, and you learn so much more about basketball and life during these times. So what are some of the things your program tries to instill in these kids? Because basketball, I think a lot of aspects of basketball translate into life, from sportsmanship to knowing your role and things like that. So what are some of the things you try to instill in these young men?
Well, I learned early, though, when that first event happened, that it wasn't just about basketball.
Right. That
we had to become something else. And a quick story is that first event we had a young man use us as an alibi because he was a murder suspect here in the city.
Wow.
And so we had some police detectives come with us and ask us, hey, can you prove this young man was here? And so we ended up developing some film back when we did develop film. We saw some pictures of this guy who was eating pizza and wings, and so we can tell when he was here and prove that he was here. So he ended up getting off of that charge and, able to be scot-free. And so we saw him later that week, and he was, hey, Nate, I'm so thankful that you had something for us to do, because otherwise I probably would have been with those guys. Right. And so I'm so thankful. And so we learned we had to become an alternative or another option to the corner. And so we learned, one was we wanted to just bless these guys and instill some life skills, but at the same time give them something else to do without seeming like, without being a punk. Hey, I gotta go play a game today.
Right.
But as we've grown into our program, we've gotten to more about mentorship and about this place of taking guys who have a lot of kind of despair, and we want to say, hey, we're trying to get you out of this mindset and give you more hope that you can succeed. For me, knowing the importance of having somebody who was positive in my life to tell me I can do things was helpful.
Right.
It wasn't easy. I had hard work and the choices I had to make. As long as I had somebody in my life who could tell me, "Oh, you can do this."
Right.
So that's what we try to instill in these guys. Where we're like, "Hey, listen, you need to be the man that you're called to be. You can do these things just because you were dealt this hand, whether it was where you live, the family you have. You can still succeed." And so don't just give up on life. And so we try to instill positive, just life skills in these guys. Just last week, I got to go to a wedding of my boy, who was one of the first guys that ever started in the program.
Really?
15 years ago.
That's awesome.
And so now he's married and going to hang out with. It's just a cool being in the city for this long, and just being able to just work with these guys and just be there for them. And that's really the important. Sometimes you don't need to do much, but just be there.
Right.
And then that consistency of being there all the time and just letting them know, hey, you can do this, and just being that positive role model, or just being resources, for information and other things like that. But as we've grown as a nonprofit, we are able to do more with the continued support and finances from people in the community. We can help these guys with either resources, that they need financially, or just like education or job, things like that. So we're able to do a lot for them now.
So I'm trying to, hopefully want to start something similar. Were there any struggles or challenges you faced early on? Because I spoke before about VJA, it was hard to get, it was unpaid. The coaches were just dads coming out when they had time off of work and things like that. And it's hard to keep up when it's just all volunteer work. So did you face any struggles like that early on?
Yeah, I think one of the struggles I faced was, you're trying to participate with other organizations, and unfortunately a lot of organizations are very, like, if it's not my program,
right,
I'm not trying to help out.
Exactly.
And so I faced that as an issue, and so what I had to do was gain a community of support for my own self and the volunteers that were just die hard about it, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm actually a full-time volunteer. All the money that comes into the program goes back to the kids, to the program.
That's dope.
And so everybody else that works with us is also volunteer. Also financial contributions, where you're not a not-for-profit, and you're not actually a company, you're just kind of a guy doing a thing. It's really difficult to get that support. So in 2008, we had to become a company and file for a tax exemption or federal exemption. So then we became a non-for-profit, and now we can receive funds tax exempt, which is a lot easier now for people to help us out.
Right.
And so those are kind of the main struggles, and finding people who are committed, who want to work in the city, who aren't afraid to be in the city, but who are from the city, who know what it's about, and they can get there and they can be a part of that life. Because really, being available is what these guys need. And so being there in basketball is a tool in which we use to get them there. We have a monthly event that gathers most of these guys. It gets 110, 120 guys into a gym every month. We feed everybody, we give away stuff. That's the opportunity in which we get to know the guys. And then from that, we try to build a core of guys that we hang out with on a regular. 2 weeks ago, we took, me and another organization called FCA took about 85 kids from the city to a sports camp in Kutztown, Pennsylvania. And about 15 of those guys are mine personally. So they get an opportunity to go to a university, play sport, live in a dorm, get away from this, and get see something else. And so we're always trying to do something to give these guys just a different perspective on life, and ultimately say, hey, you can be successful.
Right. That's dope, man. I commend you for all you're doing. So let's transition into the one and done tournament this weekend. How many years has this been going on?
It's funny you ask, because we just had to do some crazy work to figure that out with pitching. But it's actually, this will be the 11th year we've done it. And it's progressively gotten better and better. So we've had 10 years of champions that we're going to display this weekend. So it's the 11th year, and like I said, it's developed from one division, 5-on-5, to now 2 division, where we have the best 16 and 19-year-olds in Central New York and and regionally, as well as the best open division players, which are all usually ex-Division I players, pro athletes that are playing overseas, and so it's just great competition.
Okay. Where is this?
It's at Allen Hall Gymnasium at the OCC.
Okay.
And it's just a night. It's admissions free. It's a good time just to celebrate our community and all that we have to offer as far as basketball-wise, and just kind of, hey, we're here. We can have an event with no drama. It's just a good time for the family and friends just to come out and hang out, watch some good basketball. We got music playing, giveaways, and so it's just a good opportunity to say, hey, people, there's all this negative stuff going on. Look at this positive thing that's happening.
That's dope, man. So I don't know if you can answer this, but who are some of the best players you've seen walk through your doors and play in these tournaments?
So I mean, throughout the years,
Yeah.
I mean, we've had a lot of guys. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think. We've had a lot of SU guys who've come through. After they graduated. From Brandon Trish, Devendorf, Mookie Jones, Terrence Roberts, Nichols, all these guys that played before. And he has some guys that, Jerice Crouch, Chris Reeves back in the day. He's got a lot of guys that are just local, just beasts that are always there. Off the top of my head, I could look back and kind of think of all the guys, but it's just everybody who is talented in Syracuse will probably be in this event.
Probably coming back because they want to show that they still got it, and it's fun to watch. I've been there a couple of years. I'll be there this Saturday, right? It starts this Saturday.
Saturday tip-off 1 o'clock is the 16 and 19-year-old division, and so that's the 1 o'clock all the way games all the way up to 8 o'clock that night, and then we're back at it Sunday.
Nate, appreciate you joining us. Come through OCC this Saturday. See some good hoops. Support this guy doing great things in the community. And that's a wrap for episode 5 of Peep Game TV. See y'all next time.